I hope everybody's doing okay. This is Slaves of Satan, episode 41, and this is probably going to be one of the shortest in the series, because while the person is significant in history, there's really not a whole lot to really go on and on about. Now, somebody that drastically changed the religious course in America that's very rarely spoken of, or I don't really think many people even know about, even in like the Christian truth community, is this Henry Steele Olcott, who is credited for the revival of Buddhism in America, because by this, and this was in the um like 1870s to early 1900s. By 1870, Buddhism was done in America, and I'm not blaming that on why America and most of the prominent countries in the world have landed into moral decay. This is definitely a key component of it, because Henry Steele Olcott was the first president of the Theosophical Society, and something that I cannot stress enough is how much damage to the kingdom of God that those damn theosophists did. People just keep on tending to overlook the group, and they'll focus on the Freemasons or Crowley or the OTO or the Golden Dawn, and while those were more influential, the Theosophical Society is what got the ball rolling. That was kind of like the spark that's set things ablaze. Now, I'm aware that in this era there was not a large amount of spirit-filled Christians that had a passion for the Lord. I know there was a lot of people that got deceived into Darwinism or atheism, agnostic, or just lukewarm denominations like Lutheran, Presbyterian, Methodist, stuff like that. So he met Helena Blavatsky when he was pretty much like investigating like a rumor of this, like a haunted house type of thing, but on a low scale. And Helena Blavatsky, who is one of the most wicked women that's probably ever lived. What's very disturbing when you read her works, and if you are a Christian and if you do feel compelled to read them for research purposes, just please ask God for protection, because they're unbelievably charged manuscripts. The evil is just seething out of them. And what's disturbing is you can tell not only how much of a hatred she has for Christ, but you can tell how excited she is to make it seem like the Bible is a myth and the story of Jesus is fabricated, because she's only telling one side of the story. And also, this was before all this amazing archaeological evidence has been found, so she's been completely discredited. But anyways, ever since she was young, she talked to these things that she called either the adepts, the masters of wisdom, because the term ascended masters did not start being talked about till around like the 1930s. Someone named Guy Ballard started calling them that because that's what they asked to be called. But she was in contact with these things from when she was very young, and they told her to go to this location, and she did not know the reason at the time, but it was to meet Henry Steele Olcott. And while he was the president, well, they're both the co-founder of the Theosophical Society. He was the president, she was the co-founder, but in terms of rank, he was the student and she was the master, and that's something that you always have to look out for when a woman is in charge of these religious organizations, because the Bible clearly states that a man is supposed to be at the top of any type of religious activity. So pretty much they just realized that these so-called masters brought them together. Now, let's look at his resume. Military officer, and he was caught being a spy and was basically on death row, but because of him being a Freemason, he was let out. He was a journalist, lawyer, like I said, a Freemason. Now, I could not find his degree, of what degree he was, but I do know that Helena Blavatsky was I believe a 13th degree princess in the ancient primitive rite of Memphis Mithraism, and John Yarker gave her a 33rd degree honorary, a degree, I believe in either just regular Scottish Rite Masonry or co-masonry, because prior to what they say, if they're impressed enough, a woman can be in the regular Masonic lodges. They won't tell you that or admit it, but it happens. So I imagine that he was probably a fairly high degree as well. I would imagine he was probably a 32nd degree, if I had to guess, maybe a 33rd. Now, I would label him an occultist, but not really as much as these other people I talk about. He was more of like a networking type of person. Now, he grew up Presbyterian, and typically when someone grows up Presbyterian, usually one of three things happen. They stay up Presbyterian and they're lukewarm Christian forever. They convert over to a different religion, or they become an agnostic or atheist later down the road. And I know Presbyterian and all the denominations has got worse, but that's just usually how it is. Now, he took an interest in spiritualism after meeting the Fox sisters. The Fox sisters is who is credited for starting the massive occult revival in America. And I want to make it clear that I know I stress this a lot, but they never sort of demonized the words esoteric or occult. They sort of separated it as the dark arts, because it's fine to be an esoterist. It's fine to be an occult researcher. What's not fine and will not hold up in on Judgment Day is when you are a dabbler of the dark arts. An esoterist or an occult researcher is somebody that is learning knowledge, and a lot of it that's labeled occult or esoteric is not even evil. Some of it is very evil, obviously, and obviously I label any form of magic as dark arts, but there needs to be a distinction. Now, after he hooked up with his master, he started studying hypnotism and psychometry, and that psychometry is pretty much the only type of ability that he had. He definitely was not like a ceremonial magician of any sort, but he was good at psychometry, and psychometry is say if this Celebi card was owned by 7 different people, and I wanted to know who all owned it for whatever reason, I would go into a trance, and by some type of outside force giving me temporary power, I would, depending on how skilled I was, you would close your eyes and you would either see visions of who they belong to, or the information would be downloaded into your brain, or it could be even more advanced. Say somebody died at this table, they're using this pen, and if you wanted to see what type of emotions someone was feeling before they died, to try to figure out the circumstances of the death, if you was advanced at psychometry, you could pick up the pen and figure out what type of thoughts were going through the pen as it was being held. And that is the dark arts, by the way. And he was also interested in mesmerism, which was created by, well, at least it's accredited to a guy named Anton Mesmer. I believe he was around in the early 1800s, maybe mid. I'll pull it up. And he came up with the theory of mesmerism. And while it's labeled as pseudoscience, it's not really considered a scam. It's like, oh, here's an easy way to explain it. So, like weapon salve, is a good way to explain it. So in the old days, like in the Renaissance era, you had some occult doctors like Robert Flood. And this is an example of mesmerism. Say you got into a scuffle with somebody and they took a knife and like to get you off of them while you were beating them, they slashed your knee, and you needed to disinfect the knee. So the belief was that metal has a well, not just metal, different and based other things that are alive too. I'll have to do a whole episode on anti-mesmer eventually. Basically, mesmerism would be that there is an invisible connection between you and that specific knife that cut you. So instead of treating the wound on the person, you would put the medicine on the weapon. And sometimes it did work. He studied seances, Brahmanism, esoteric Christianity, and like I said, definitely not the type of esoteric Christianity that I push. And he was not only responsible for the American Buddhist revival, he was him and his devilish I guess you could call her his master. They were both responsible for the Buddhist revival in America, Hindu, Zoroastrianism, pagan religions. Like theosophy is basically a buffet style hodgepodge basket case of anything goes except fundamental Christianity. And what I can say about him is, knowing how wicked of a woman Helena Blavatsky is, I personally believe that there's a high chance that she was not even man or woman, that she could have been some incarnation of some demonic god, or demonic false god, or something, because all these things shapeshift. Lucifer shapeshifts. So why wouldn't all his angels be able to do it? Oh, and also something I want to mention. I don't know the terms for like the different types of immigration, but Henry Steele Olcott and Helena Blavatsky was the first two people to from Russia to get whatever it's called when you become a free citizen. And I find that very, very, very suspicious. There's also been rumors that she was also working for Russian intelligence to spread this false gospel. Now, while he wasn't really huge into an occultist, he did speak to at least 5 of the different masters. He spoke to Moria, which Blavatsky spoke to. He spoke to Kuthumi, which is another one Blavatsky spoke to. Now the other 3, I'm not sure if seated or not. I mean the next 4. Serapis Bey, Tuatit Bey, Hilarion, and Narayan. And before I close out, in case if this is the first time you've watched these, I will briefly explain it again. The Ascended Master, well, back then they called them either Mahatmas, Masters, Adepts, Masters of Wisdom. They were basically these beings that looked very similar to a person, but you can tell that they definitely were not a person. They looked kind of otherworldly, but still like man and woman, but kind of perfected, but very creepy at the same time. But in modern days, they've changed because obviously they change to whatever the culture is, because they've had so much time to study what people will be attracted to, and because they don't enter you like demons. They are at least at the rank of a fallen angel, and they're nothing to be played with. And do not seek these things out. Don't stare at them a real long time. That's why I don't leave them up on the screen very long. Do not go seeking them out, because you will find them, or you will feel immense amount of evil around you. Be very careful when it comes to those things and any of Blavatsky's work. But because no one else does it, I feel compelled to keep on an onward assault with these damn theosophists, like the onward Christian soldier. Have a blessed rest of the day. May the Lord Yahweh bless you.